All right, we have something exciting tonight. So I'm just getting ready to make dinner for my husband and myself, and we're doing something a little different tonight. So my parents recently had the opportunity to buy a quarter of a cow off of a family they know from church. And they gave my parents some beef liver, which my parents did not want. So I said, you know what? My husband eats anything, and I'm not going to back away from a challenge. So tonight we're cooking beef liver, and we're going to see how it goes. So let's get started. I came prepared. I looked up a recipe, and I already wrote it down so that I wouldn't be trying to read it off my phone. And we're going to need the liver, milk, olive oil, salt, black pepper, paprika, 1 onion, 3 cloves minced garlic. I'm going to use a little more because we're a big fan of garlic in this household. All-purpose flour and butter, if I haven't said that already. So I'm just going to go and get everything out. My husband's still sleeping right now, which I love because I'm hoping he stays in the bedroom until everything's plated because I want to see if he can guess what dinner is when we go to eat it. So let's see if he can figure it out. Now that we have all the ingredients out, the first thing we're going to do is actually soak our beef liver in some milk. And then that's going to go in the fridge while we start prep on some other stuff. Okay, so our beef liver is going to go into 3/4 cup of milk. So we're just going to go ahead and fill this 3/4 of a way, thereabouts, and spilled a little bit, but that's okay. We don't cry over spilled milk. And then we are going to open up our packet of beef liver. I'm going to do this over the sink because there is quite a bit of blood in the package. My dogs are already coming over. I'm sure this would be right up their alley. All right, so to show you what we're working with, here are our livers. It's crazy something so small and thin literally does so much work processing. You know, it's like the garbage disposal of the body. You can maybe just barely see him. Clydesdale's right under me, and he is sniffing up a storm. All right. So, this is what we have. You can see it. Just the beef liver is in milk, and we're going to put it in the fridge. So the recipe said you can put it in there for anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. So I'm just going to let it hang out in there while I prep some other stuff. Okay, so there's not too much else that needs to be prepped until I'm ready to do some more work with the liver. So I'm actually going to start prepping the rest of the stuff that we're going to be eating with this meal. So I don't know what liver tastes like to know what would go well with it, but I'm thinking like some broccoli and mashed potatoes. So I think we're going to get started on that. There's only 2 of us. I think I'm just going to do 2 potatoes, thereabouts, since it's just a side. And while I get ready to peel those, I'm going to get my water heated. And you know what? We're going to make it 3 potatoes because everyone loves mashed potatoes. All right. So now we're going to do 3. Should I try to juggle? No. I'm going to closely watch my water to make sure I turn it off before it overpours. All right. So now we can get this on the stove back out of the way so that can start heating up. One time I made mashed potatoes, but we didn't have milk. We did, however, have sweet cream coffee creamer. And for whatever reason that night, my mind said those were the same thing. So I used that instead of in exchange for milk. And my husband eats just about everything, but let me tell you, that was one he said, let's not do that again. It was very, very sweet. But you know, that's how you learn. So now we know it's not a one-for-one exchange. Growing up for holidays like Thanksgiving and stuff, my grandpa would always peel potatoes. And then I got older and I would help him do it. That was like his task. It helps build patience. To be determined. All right. So we've got all our potatoes peeled, so we can go ahead and I just like to dice them up. It just makes them cook a little faster than the whole potato because you have more surface area. Look at that. Remembered something from school. You'll have to let me know in the comments if my microphone is picking up like the slicing from the peeler, if it sounds like ASMR. All right. So nothing too crazy. Looks like dicing them up. I don't know, like this size or so, just to help them cook a little bit faster. The rest of our potatoes are all diced, so we're just gonna put those in the water and let them start softening. While we wait for that, I'm gonna keep the liver in the fridge for a bit more and just prep my garlic and onion. So shout out Pampered Chef. I have a mincer. I'll call it like smasher. So I'm going to use that for the garlic. And I probably don't actually open garlic cloves correctly. And I definitely don't do it in the most efficient way. So do better than me. But growing up, my household was like a garlic powder household. And it wasn't until I got older and out on my own that I started putting fresh garlic into recipes. It's definitely going to be something that we grow for sure. Also, fun fact, up until not that long ago, I thought this was a clove of garlic rather than this. So when recipes called for a clove, I was thinking you put 3 of these in, like, or one of these, 3 cloves of garlic. I was thinking 3 of these, which would be crazy. I'd probably love it and still eat it, but this is a clove. More you know. This is a head of garlic. Learn something new every day. And just because it's common sense to you doesn't mean it's common sense to someone else. All right, so we got 3, but I'm going to do a little bit extra for good measure. This is the part I love about cooking, where you just kind of go with your heart and you can follow a recipe as like a base and then zhuzh it up from there and do what you want to do. And the more you cook, the more you realize like what you like and what you think tastes good with different things. And the world is your oyster, man. You can do whatever you want. All right. This is about 5. And now for the fun part, we just get to chop it up. See if I can like. Does anyone know, is Pampered Chef still a thing? I don't think I've heard about it since the early 2000s. And there we go. So then that is all ready to go. So I'm just going to push this off to the side before I dump the rest of it by accident. And so now for the onion, it may have meant white, but we have red onion, so I'm going to use that. Same thing with the milk. It technically called for buttermilk, but we have whole milk right now. So is this going to be a creamer situation? To be determined. Now, for the onion, it's said to have them in slices. Or in strips, I mean. So I just cut it. Oh, my eyes are starting to water. I love the taste of onion too, so it's something we must accept. I just cut it into rings, and then to get it into strips, I'm just gonna cut it in half. And then I think these count as strips, so I think we're good to go. Okay. I think the last thing I'm going to do before getting back to the liver is get our veggies going. Just so that they can start to soften up. Because they're in the freezer. That's how much we had left in one bag, which feels a little low, so I think I'm just going to open another one. And much better. Get those going so they can start softening up. Okay, so right before I go to get our liver, I'm just going to break apart my little strips of onion, and then I'm also going to add the garlic from our Pampered Chef crusher to this cutting board. There we go. Just because we'll add the onions and garlic at the same time, so that way I can clear off a little bit of my counter and save a little bit of space. So a few big ones, I'm just cutting up a little bit more. All right. So now we can scrape that on top of there. Get all that out, toss that in the sink. Then I also take off this plastic part because you can see it always gets stuck there. So I just take my finger and make sure I get all that good stuff out. Now we have our onion and garlic is all together. And I'm going to put that there for the moment. Okay, so now we're going to go back and get the liver. Okay, I think it's been at least 10 minutes. The milk is now completely pink. Now, I'm going to go ahead and you can use any fry pan. I'm going to go and use my cast iron. So, there we go. Get that going, and we are going to have our 2 tablespoons of butter. So I'm just going to let that start melting. So 2 tablespoons, thereabouts, and just let that start to melt around on there. So the next step is we need to pat dry our liver, and I'm just going to be using some paper towels for that. We got our milk-soaked liver. And then the milk, you can just go ahead and dispose it because we're all done with it. And then we're just going to go ahead and pat that dry. And they're quite wet, so it's probably going to take a few times. I have a divided sink in this house. And so one side is currently filled with trash, just the wrapper from the liver. And as I pat these paper towels, I'm tossing them in there as well, because the garbage can is on the other side of the kitchen. I think that's prepped and patted pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and stir around my butter and turn down the heat a little bit. So now that we have our livers, the next thing is to prep our salt, pepper, paprika, and we're just going to coat the liver really good in all of that. So I'm actually going to reuse my bowl that had the milk in it because it's had the same thing in it, so it doesn't really matter. So for this, we are going to need 2 teaspoons salt. So 1, 2, thereabouts. A half teaspoon pepper. You know me, you know I'm going to use the same measuring, and I'm just going to fill it halfway. Thereabouts. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in 1 teaspoon of paprika. Some nice little spice. And since it's here, I'm just going to go ahead and use my teaspoon to shush it up. So now we're just going to coat it, and then we're going to put it into our fry pan and cook it on each side for 3 minutes. I covered like 2 of the livers, so I'm going to do a second batch. Cheers. Guess what? We forgot something. So after I put the spices on, I was actually supposed to douse it in, or it says dredge it in the 4th cup flour before we put it in the pot. So I'm going to do that now and then just let it finish cooking. It'll be fine. Be very careful taking your liver out because it has been cooking, so it's going to be warm. And then I just need to make sure that I put the side that was cooking back down. Okay, well, we wait that out. We go ahead and check on my taters. I was pretty easily able to poke through them with a fork, so I'm going to go ahead and drain those. Okay, so that was just our timer. What we're going to do now is I'm just going to toss onto a plate because we're now going to use our pot to cook up our veggies. So this, it says 2 tablespoons. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and give it a whole bunch. And then we can go ahead and take our onion and garlic from earlier and get that in. So this is what we have. We're just going to let that cook down and soften in the oil before we add the back in a little bit. And while we wait for this, I'm going to go ahead and finish our potatoes. All right, so we got our cooked taters. Now the fun part, we just get to mash it. And some stuff will call for measurements. I just go ahead and eyeball. So I'm just going to do a splash of milk and then go in with our salt and pepper. We're going in with the tabletop pepper for more control. And now that that's mostly mashed up, I'm going to go ahead and switch to my spoon. All right, and that looks pretty good. So now we can just go ahead and put our taters up on the stove to stay nice and warm and give our veggies a poke. Those are also coming along nicely. So I'm actually going to turn that down just to keep it warm. So this is where we're at with the onion and garlic. So I think I'm going to go ahead and add back in. Have you heard what I was saying? Good. Because it's a guessing game. You get to try to guess. Okay, real talk. So we followed all the instructions. follow the recipe. Forget about the flour thing. We followed the important recipe. That being said, I always check the internal temperature because proteins make me nervous and I want to make sure I don't poison myself or my husband. So for this, it should be at least an internal temperature of 160. And when you check, you just want to make sure that you go ahead and check the thickest portion. Okay, and all of them are good, so we shouldn't die today, no matter what it tastes like. So we just go ahead and drain our broccoli. Now that we have all our pieces, all we have to do is plate it up. We got it all plated up. Now we just have to go see what he thinks. Oh my goodness.
That's good.
Teddy would love to try it. Bless you.
Nope.
All right, so we have a new dinner. Before you try it, do you have any guesses as to what the protein is?
Venison?
No.
Pork?
No. Okay. I'm going to have you take a bite and let me know, one, what you think. Also, this is bold. Just this. You've had potatoes and broccoli before. So just of this, which is bold because I haven't tried it yet, so I actually don't know what it tastes like. And then I want to see if you can guess what you think it is, and then also rate how you think it tastes.
It's turkey.
No. It hasn't keeled over yet, so that's good.
I don't know. It has like a bit of a steak flavor to it.
Does it taste? How's it taste? Like, how's the flavor?
It tastes like a steak.
Like a good steak or a bad steak? On a scale of
Well,
1
it's
to
not
10, 10
chewy,
being
so
good.
I guess a good steak.
So you would eat this again?
Yeah.
Does it taste better knowing we got it for free?
Free just makes it even better.
Yeah. In the video. I think that's pretty good. Would you like to know what it is? This is beef liver.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. We got it for free because the cow people gave it to my parents because they didn't want it. And my mom was disgusted by the thought of eating beef liver. And she had mentioned it, and I was like, I'll take one. Which, for the record, he calls me a picky eater.
Anyway.
Would a picky eater volunteer to cook and try beef liver? Anyway, we'll have to let mom know because she was like, you do know that's what processes toxins in the body. And I was like, okay. But they did say, they're like, well, it has a lot of iron. So that was their plus side. But she had no interest in trying it. And I was like, Kegan will eat anything.
Yeah.
Try it. See what you think.
I think it's good.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Give it a 7.
Here we go. So if you follow the recipe that we just went through for beef liver, forgot what it was called for a second. Kegan rates it a 7 out of 10. So pretty good. Okay, go away now. We're going to eat.